Orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. Semen retention. What's all the fuss? No, men, I am not coming for your orgasm. In fact, I want you to have better, bigger, wilder orgasms that get you high. And they also make you more money and advance your career, make you more alpha and less beta, increase your X factor attractiveness to women, boost your fitness, and make you able to pump harder at the gym. And they also make you into a legendary supercock who can go for hours and deliver multiple life-changing orgasms to your woman. You in? So how do you do it? Orgasm without ejaculation. Yes, you can. Every man can. It's the Anami guarantee. I will explain more about how you can have your cake and eat it too. I was going to say have your orgasm and eat it too, but I don't think that sounds quite as appealing to most men. But first, let's dive into a little bit more about why you would consider holding onto your fluids. The idea of men retaining their seed through the practice of semen retention is not new, despite what some uninformed people on the internet seem to be thinking. It's a concept that's been spoken about for millennia in cultures all over the world. In the East, 5,000 years ago, in India and China, within tantric and Taoist sexual circles. In the West, 2,000 years ago, with Galen and Hippocrates talking about the importance of men preserving their precious fluids. In all of these discussions, it wasn't about any kind of moral restriction. It was through the observation that excessive ejaculation is depleting for men. The male body spends a lot of time and energy to build up the capacity to create new life with every single ejaculation. If men are constantly dumping this energy and literal fluid out of themselves, if they have an iota of self-awareness, they make the connection. I mean, how can you not when 99.99999% of men have sex or masturbate and then they pass out? They are so exhausted that they can't even get up and walk across the room. In Anami land, the measure for men is feeling like you want to go to the gym or run a marathon after you have sex or self-pleasure. In fact, I have a whole episode about an actual national level ultra marathon runner who was drawn to my work by this very promise. This episode is called Marathon Man, Marathon Cock. He attributes his best race time yet to these practices of consciously directing his sexual energy. The whole notion of semen retention has gotten a lot of traction lately. No FAP, no nut November, semen retention, no sex before the big game. All of these movements have been born out of men in real time seeing what happens to them and their athletic, creative, and overall life performance after they dump their load. So it spurs the question of what happens when we don't dump our load so much? Here are some of the answers. This is from David Hay, champion boxer and non-wanker. I don't ejaculate for 6 weeks before the fight. No sex, no masturbation, no nothing. It releases too much tension. It releases a lot of minerals and nutrients that your body needs, and it releases them cheaply. If you unload and lose all those minerals and all that good stuff, then it's not going to help you to fight. That is your chi. Get rid of that and you can feel your soul leaving you. Think about it. As soon as you release, your instinct is to go to sleep. You want a sandwich and a nice kip, and you don't want to feel like that in the boxing ring. This from Miles Davis, legendary jazz musician and non-wanker. Says Miles, you can't come and then fight or play. You can't do it. When I get ready to come, I come, but I don't come and play. The interviewer says to him, explain that in layman's terms. Miles, ask Muhammad Ali. If he comes, he can't fight 2 minutes. Shit, he couldn't even whip me. Interviewer, would you fight Muhammad Ali under those conditions to prove your point? Miles, you're goddamn right I'd fight him, but he's got to promise to fuck first. If he ain't gonna fuck, I ain't gonna fight. You give up all your energy when you come. I mean, you give up all of it. So if you're gonna fuck before a gig, how are you going to give something when it's time to hit? And this is Steve Jobs, Apple inventor and non-wanker. And this is a comment from his ex-partner, Chrisanne Brennan, who says, our birth control method up to that point was Steve's coitus interruptus, also called the pull-out method, which for him was about conserving his energy for work. He didn't want to climax so that he could build power and wealth by conserving one's vital energies. And then I found a bunch of guys in the comment section of some videos where men think that semen retention is some new trend that means you just never have sex. I honestly could create an entire new podcast series just featuring epic comment sections from online. They have become the lifeblood of the internet. So here is a selection from men practicing semen retention. 55 days on semen retention, and all I can say is I've never felt better in my life than I do now. 91 days, best thing of my life. I find it hilarious how everyone who hates on semen retention has never gone over 90 days on it. Keep coping, coom brain. So apparently this is an extension of the okay boomer, like the baby boom generation meme, and they've applied it to anti-semen retention skeptics with okay coomer. This is hilarious. So see what I tell you. This is brilliant. Comment genius. Next one. Semen retention has changed my life. I've completely gone from a beta to a confident man. After a few months, you start to see the benefits. Not many men will even go that far. It takes a certain type of mind. Next one. I have this weird urge to be a boxer now. Semen retention literally rewires how you think about conflict. So this is really interesting, right? In this time, an era of really trying to feminize men, and this isn't the first one. There's a number of comments like this. So some of them are later in this little series, talking about how they're more conflict. What's the word? Opposite of conflict averse. Conflict positive. They're more open to standing their ground. Next one. I went 60 days and I felt amazing, energized, and motivated just to see the sunshine, and the sun going down was like a bliss feeling I've never experienced. Pure joy. I was happy with little things like I was a little kid all over again. Stay at it. It works. Next one. Semen retention is such a powerful thing to engage in. Since bringing it into my life, I will never turn back on it. I have relapsed a few times, but this is what happens in the fight to overcome addictions. The longest I've gone is 134 days. I really shouldn't have relapsed because I was feeling so powerful. My testosterone was flowing, my gym workouts have become much more intense, my face, skin, appearance became much more vibrant. You can choose ejaculation addiction, caused by the hypersexualized world and constant, cheap, pleasurable rewards, which are weakening men by design. Or you can try semen retention for 30 to 90 days and get a feel for it yourself. There's a reason why more and more people are coming forward and giving their stories so passionately. A big shout out to all the people who are retaining and becoming a force to be reckoned with. And this one I particularly love. You become more confident and walk with a certain aura about you. In addition to that, there's eye contact, which can sound weird, but when you go on semen retention, after a while, you will be able to hold eye contact and not feel weird about it. This is for the shy guys who can't hold eye contact for 3 seconds. Also, being able to hold eye contact with girls can be seen as attractive. Not gonna lie, I used to be afraid of dogs, but I'm not scared anymore. Like a dog can be barking at me behind a fence and I will stare it down until it submits and stops. Weird, I know. But overall, just do it because it's a form of practicing self-control over your desires. And the way things are going with the world right now, people want you to be addicted to anything that you can get addicted to. Next one. I have done semen retention for 295 days, and guys, the energy is crazy. Recovery from workouts takes just a few hours. It's the only time you feel immortal. Give it a try. Next one, I made it 350 days on semen retention. The magnetism was totally out of control at some points. The increase in luck factor and manifesting as well. You don't get the benefits either until at least 30 days. Next one. If beta males say that retention is bullshit, then I'ma definitely keep doing it and hope these betas keep releasing. So, I love that these guys are speaking to everything from their workout capacity to the magnetism factor with women, but also the manifesting power and this feeling of immortality. In my work, I speak about our sexual fluids as being the literal fountain of youth, as in that's what all the mythical quests to find this thing were actually referring to. And of course, I talk all the time about using your sexual energy to consciously procreate in the world, channeling it into your career, health, fitness, creativity, and family. And these guys are echoing all of these ideas, and they don't even have the Anami vocabulary. Today, I've got someone for you who does. Todd has taken my Sexual Mastery for Men program and has indeed attained mastery. He can orgasm if or when he likes, can go for 8 hours at a time, has learned to separate orgasm from ejaculation, and can tell you all about the benefits he has seen in his bed and in his life. The thing that's missing from all of these guys just practicing semen retention is that, yes, all right, they are not dumping out all of their potent seed, but they also are not consciously directing that energy into anything else. I think it's happening naturally and organically, but a whole other level takes place when you do it consciously. Plus, these guys aren't having any orgasms at all. If you learn how to orgasm without ejaculation, you still have all the pleasure of the most powerful orgasms of your life because these become your best ever orgasms, and you learn to channel all of this chi energy into everything you do. Win, win, win. Well fucked all-stars. All right. Hi, Todd. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Kim. Appreciate you inviting me on.
So you've had some wonderful breakthroughs on your journey into becoming a well-fucked man. We would love to hear about them, especially the holy grail for men of orgasm without ejaculation, which I think a lot of men don't even understand what that is or how it could be possible.
Right. Yeah, I think my journey with that started 3 years ago, maybe. In the process of exploring myself, I decided to try to experiment with taking a class for sexual mastery of men. Kind of brought everything together for me, but I learned through that process of just how to understand my own body better than I ever had. Being in my 50s, I certainly wish I had learned this a long time ago, but never too late, I guess. So I did a lot of experimenting with that and learning my body and learning how to separate orgasm from ejaculation.
What was there a particular motivation that started you on your path to wanting to deepen your sexual self-knowledge?
What man doesn't want to be a supercock?
Right. I mean, what woman doesn't want a supercock? So when you first heard about orgasm without ejaculation, what did you think about that? Were you skeptical? Were you like, tell me more? How do I do this?
I think every man's initial reaction to that is, yeah, right. That can't be true. But I'm curious enough to have, decided that I wanted to really find out if I could go that deep with that and if it was possible. And, when you start to hear anecdotes of other people that have gone through that process and you realize there must be something to this. So at that point, I said, okay, I'm gonna give this my all. I'm gonna figure this out. And that's what I did.
Amazing. So prior to that, what was your stamina like? Did you have good control?
I think it was good at times. I get to what I would think what most men are like, that they think they have decent stamina. What does that mean? Does it mean 15 minutes? That's a big difference from what my stamina is now.
And what is it now?
It's unlimited, really. I mean, I choose when I want to orgasm, if I want to orgasm. I shouldn't say that. Whole body orgasm, I can continually do that. I choose if I want to ejaculate or not, so there are times when I do, and there are times when I want to keep that energy within me. I just listened to your other podcast about the marathon man, and I really connected with that because I feel the same way. It having sex does not mean that you're draining your energy.
If you're doing it in these ways.
Yes, it's all about energy. It's about orgasm. Orgasmic energy just comes from within. And when you learn how to control that, it changes your life. I was not brought up as a quote unquote new wave person it was a pretty conservative household. I always thought that was those types of things were not really real. But as I started to uncover this and unpeel the layers of the energy and the spirituality behind it, yeah, really changed me.
And look, I appreciate you saying that because I think a lot of people might look at this and their initial response is that it's woo woo. And there's been some debate about this in the ethers these days. So, what I'd love to hear about then is how do you feel? Can you see and feel now the difference in you if you can? Because the argument for separating orgasm from ejaculation is that ejaculatory fluid is a precious commodity. It takes the body a lot of time and energy to make it. It's the energy that creates a new life with every ejaculation. And that if we learn how to orgasm and get all the benefits and even more intense, full body, more pleasurable and powerful orgasms, and yet we don't emit fluid, that we've got the best of both worlds. So once you began to do this, what did you notice in your energy before and after having sex? Because the typical man, and this is the argument I would put out there, is drained from ejaculation and certainly from excessive ejaculation, like daily ejaculation, really taxes men, but they become so accustomed to that feeling or they mistake exhaustion for relaxation and don't realize that they can walk out of a sex session wanting to go like our marathon cock, go run a marathon, literally go run a marathon versus passing out to recover and regenerate, to be able to even get up and walk across the room.
Right. Yeah. So I think that is, the understanding most men have with sex is, do the act, it drains you afterwards, you have the orgasm, you have ejaculate. Usually if you're at that point in your understanding of ejaculation and orgasm, they go hand in hand. So there's no separation between orgasm and ejaculation. So you're doing both. You're ready to roll over and go to sleep. after learning how to have a whole body orgasm, your energy level does not diminish. As a matter of fact, I think it increases afterwards, certainly during. When you say whole body orgasm and you're trying to explain that to somebody that's never had one, they just feel like every nerve ending in your body is on fire, and in a good way. It's just you're just full of life. It's just an amazing feeling.
All right, so you've gotten to a place of having pretty much unlimited stamina. Like you can go for as long as you want to. You can have, so how many orgasms could you have in a session? So if you're having a extended sex session and you're choosing not to ejaculate, how many orgasms could or would you have within that?
Honestly, I don't really think you can count, because I think I'd reached the point where it just becomes continuous. Like for that entire time, there may be varying levels of what that orgasm is. It could be a lower level of energy that builds up, and I can only describe it as waves in the ocean, following along with these waves, and it reaches some peaks and then drops down to lower peaks. But you're orgasmic during that entire time. That totally changes your understanding of what an orgasm is. Whereas, the sudden increase in orgasm, you have your ejaculation, and then all of a sudden that energy's gone, and it lasts how long? Seconds. I mean, I don't think men have that last more than 15 seconds at the very most, as opposed to, honestly, I've been in an orgasmic state for 8 hours before, and probably could have been longer, but I think sometimes you just need to have your body just, it's like, I don't know if I can take this anymore.
I don't know if I can take this much ecstasy.
Right.
So we're talking 8-hour sex sessions.
I have with myself, I've had 8 hour sex sessions. I have with partner, I usually don't have that much time to, yeah, well, when you have two people involved, usually there's more time constraints, so.
And so what have you noticed that that's done for your relationships with women? So what I've heard sometimes with men, depending on their female partner, is that the woman may not be used to that. They get a certain gratification from seeing men ejaculate. That's the proof that they're attractive, especially when they don't understand these deeper themes and energies going on. That's a kind of validation for them at a kind of a low level sexual validation.
I think it is completely dependent on how open a woman is to increasing her knowledge of, orgasm and connection. And there are certain women that have to, I believe, and you go through this in your class, you have to go through your own work. You have to work on yourself before you can work on being in a connected relationship with somebody else. And if you haven't done that work on yourself, you're probably not going to open up to somebody else. So I've experienced both. I've experienced the lower level, almost disappointment that, it's how come we haven't orgasmed yet? Well, actually, I did orgasm. And then I've experienced the other side of that, which is, just complete mastery of a woman's orgasm, and open her up as open as she can be. And so both extremes, and obviously we know which one of those is the better sex. Fast food versus gourmet sex.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us more then about this higher level experience when the woman is open to this, and what is she able to experience? Because I talk about how Usually for the deeper vaginal orgasms in women, they need sustained penetration. Certainly a 5 to 15-minute sex session isn't going to do it, unless a couple is at a really high level of connection, right? Where they've already achieved these states, they live in them, then shorter sex sessions, they can get there. But for most people, especially initially, if women haven't had these states, they need a long time to really sink in and open up to them. Plus, I'm always in favor of longer sessions because you harvest more sexual energy. The longer you have sex for, the more energized you get. It's like plugging in your phone. The longer it stays plugged in, the longer that it gets charged up. So tell us about that, what you've seen in women when you're able to really go with them and take them into these higher states.
I had a partner that had been married previously for 20 years and had never had an orgasm. Well, it took a while for her to open up, but once she opened up, just blew her socks off. I mean, just took her to levels that she didn't even know existed, and got to the point where the sex really, there was no limit to how good it could be. It could be better every time, even if you thought it was the best sex you've ever had, the next time would be a level beyond that. And unless you experience it, you don't even know it exists. I mean, it's crazy what the level of energy that you can cultivate. Sessions where continuous orgasm for the woman for 3 hours straight without, I mean, complete, just in an orgasmic state for 3 hours. And then afterwards, having aftershocks for 4 or 5 hours after that. So, it's crazy.
That's amazing.
To the point where once you work up to that, and I think you just mentioned this, but once you reach that higher state, it doesn't take as long to get there. Honestly, now, just the penetration almost immediately goes into that orgasmic state and can stay there. And it makes you realize as a man that you just have complete mastery of opening a woman up at that point. Just tiniest movement could throw, you learn how to ride that wave. And even at the lowest level, you're still in an orgasmic state. She's in an orgasmic state. And you learn how to, move your body and ride that wave and take it up to a higher level. And it almost becomes a game where you can see how high can I take this wave. And I'm not a surfer. I know you've mentioned surfing in the past, but I've never done it. But I feel like I'm surfing when I'm in this state.
I love that. So what have you noticed happens to you then when you go out into your life? So in bed, you've attained these levels of stamina and control and mastery and hours of bliss. So how does that translate into your day-to-day life? Like in your work, in your interactions with people, what have you noticed?
Well, I have definitely noticed if you have any unresolved things within you, this is the best way to get rid of that. So, it's the best therapist you can have in terms of getting over whatever blockages you may have internally. Being in that state, it puts everything in a different perspective. When you feel like your aura changes.
So are you talking about like long-standing potential issues or current challenges in your life or both? What have you seen? Are there any examples that you could give?
Oh yeah, so as I'm sure almost everybody does, you carry things from maybe as far back as your childhood and things you don't even realize you're carrying. Being able to go through this is, it just allows you to flow through those blockages like they're not even there anymore. And it's great therapy for sure.
And what about in your work life, in your career?
I think in my career, I have never really given myself, enough credit for what I was capable of. And I'm manifesting a different energy now completely. Like I'm going after, just applied for a senior level executive position, something I probably 5 years ago or just a couple of years ago wouldn't have really considered. And I'm very sure that I'll get the position. So it's affected that as well, for sure. The amount of confidence that you have when you can just fuck right through life, I guess. You have a mastery of that.
I love it.
So,
And how about how women respond to you day to day? Like we have all these stories of our well fucked women, and they have these epic sex sessions, whether they're solo or partnered, and they go out into the world and they literally get men running across the street to ask them out. Have you had any similar experiences where women just pick up on this well fucked energy in you and they respond to it?
I, I absolutely have. I had one situation where I was in a public place and I was sitting in a bar, and all of a sudden I started realizing like women that were passing me were reaching out and touching me. Like it wasn't a creepy thing. It was more like passing and placing their hand on my back. And it was something that I had never noticed before. I don't think that's really ever happened, but at that particular time, I felt like I could feel the energy before I had even gone. I just had this. I just had that energy that was built up, and I think they could feel it. I mean, I don't have any other explanation. I just think it attracts it attracts people for sure. It's one of those things that people would think would be foo-foo, like you just mentioned, but it's real. It's as real as it can be. I just think overall, I just emanate more confidence now than I ever did, and you could see it. You can see it when I'm interacting with women.
Anything else that you'd like to add?
Being able, as a man, being able to have a multiple orgasm, I feel like that is really truly the only way that a man can understand how a woman can have a multiple orgasm. As a man, you haven't experienced that yourself. Do you know what you're giving to the woman? I don't think you do. You don't understand because you've never felt it. So being able to feel that yourself really takes you to a different level in terms of understanding a woman's body and understanding how to open her up. Yeah, you consider yourself good in bed and being able to bring a woman to orgasm, but do you understand it as deeply as somebody that has felt it themselves?
Yeah, I often say that the equivalent to female G spot and cervical orgasms is the male extended orgasm and getting into this orgasm without ejaculation state, because the clitoral orgasm and your typical penile orgasm, like short, sharp, shocked kind of thing, are quite similar. They're more superficial, they're pretty easy to just pop them off, but these much deeper exalted experiences are more spiritual, energetic, so much more deeply connected that, yeah, these are the equivalents for each other. And if for a man to really meet a woman in these, like, yeah, have a kinship to her deeper orgasmic states, this is the place he needs to be able to go. And really needs to go even to keep up with her deeper orgasmic states. But either way, right, for these people, like for a couple to really advance sexually, these are their sexual skills they need to have.
Yeah, I think that goes along with my earlier comment about riding the wave. If you don't know that there's a higher level to achieve, or you really can't bring your woman to that level because you don't know it exists. You can ride that higher and higher, and it just becomes you interplay off each other at some point when you've brought her to an understanding of what that level of multiple orgasm is, because there are probably a lot of women that can say they've had multiple orgasms, but can they say they've had a multiple orgasm for 3 hours straight? It's just it's a totally different thing.
Agreed. Yeah. Anything else that you would add or advice that you would give to men feeling skeptical about this idea? And yeah, any words of inspiration for them to be open to trying this?
Coming from a guy that was brought up in a conservative household, this understanding this energy, the energy really does exist. Don't give up on trying to achieve that. It's something that changes your life when you're able to achieve it. It's important to realize that it's real, and don't dismiss it because you think you can't achieve it. I think some men just maybe have trouble getting to that point, and then they talk themselves into thinking, okay, maybe it's not real after all. And I can say, well, you have to keep going, and you have to break through that barrier. You have to open yourself up. You really have to open yourself up before you can open somebody else up.
What I think I've heard a lot in my sense is that men fear that you want to take their orgasm away from them. They think that they're going to be losing something. They hear this talk of semen retention or orgasm without ejaculation, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to give. Why would I give up my orgasm?" And you're like, "No, actually, you're trading up for something better." But there's a leap of faith that you need to take as a man to believe there's actually something better out there. It's going to take you a bit of focus to put it into place, but ultimately, it's far better, more pleasurable, powerful, energizing.
When you achieve that higher level of orgasm, whole body orgasm, there's also another side of that as well. And I think that it can be a scary experience for somebody to have that much energy flowing through them
Right?
and not knowing where the top is. So that's something that I had to break through. I found myself stopping at a certain point because I didn't know what was going to happen. Where is my head going to pop off? Where does all this energy come from, and where is it going to go? And you have to learn to control that and just let it flow through you. Maybe it feels like it's coming out your cock. Maybe it feels like it's coming out your fingertips. Maybe it's coming out the top of your head. The crown chakra.
That's a great point. Like, how much pleasure can you take? Right? What people experience, let's say in a typical penile orgasm, is one tenth of what's really available to them, and they think that's good. Right? They're like, "Well, this is great."
Yeah,
You're like, "You don't even know. You are at the tip of the iceberg of what's really possible."
right. I would say less than one tenth, maybe 100. Just a very small percentage of what you're capable of. That will, I'm sure I'm not even achieving my full capability at this point.
And is there anything else that you would use to describe just how it feels having the orgasm without ejaculation? And was it a hard thing for you to master?
Well, I think it depends on how you define mastery. I mean, I feel like I'm a lifelong learner. As far as being able to really achieve a whole body orgasm, it probably took a couple months for me to really reach that milestone. And then you reach you reach that milestone, and then, you reach another milestone when you're able to successfully share that with a partner and have an extended orgasm together. And then, another milestone when you extend that into the point where you just have unlimited, stamina. And really the only thing stopping you is how much can your body take. So I'm sure my experience would be different if I was in my 20s than, obviously I'm in my 50s. But
Well, it still sounds like you're knocking it out of the park for any age. I mean, even better in your 50s. If you were in your 20s, who knows what you'd be having, like 24-hour orgasms.
right. It's true. Your mind opens to these experiences when you're ready for it, so if you're not mature enough to handle that, maybe you can't achieve that when you're in your 20s. Maybe you think you're a supercock when you're in your 20s, but you don't realize that there's so much further to go. There's so much potential there. It's unlimited, really.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Todd, for sharing and being an inspiration with your adventures. It's really incredible what you've done.
Yes, thanks for having me on. This has been great to be able to share this.
Orgasm without ejaculation is the higher form of semen retention, and that's what we're all about in Anami land. It's the holy grail for men and the equivalent to cervical orgasms in women. I show you exactly how to do it in my Sexual Mastery for Men salon, which is open for registration now. You will learn all of my superstar stamina techniques, which means being able to last for hours, how to transmute your sexual energy into creative energy to fuel everything in your life, from your fitness to your finances, mastery of the deeper female orgasms, which include G-spots, squirting, and cervical, how to take everything in your life from beta behavior into alpha dominance, plus cock lengthening, strengthening, and testosterone building practices to keep you virile for life. To sign up, go to kimanami.com, look for Sexual Savant Salons, and click on Sexual Mastery for Men. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and send somebody else the gift of a multi-orgasmic and transformational love life by sharing this episode with them. If you'd like to go deeper into all things orgasms, sign up for my free Orgasmopedia series, where you'll learn about 9 different types of orgasms everyone can have. Go to kimanami.com and you'll see the sign up there. Come one, come all.